All right, hey, welcome to the channel. I'm just sitting here working on a couple things. Got my UWL quads or UDL quads. I'm just having to check on some of them. I think I got some bent motors, and then I had a power lead rip off last night, so I need to fix that. So basically, that's it. I just came on, do a little live stream while I'm working on some stuff, and then if anybody had any questions while I'm here, maybe I could answer some things or help you figure out a problem you're having. So, welcome to the live stream. East Coast Thrills, how you doing? Nice, brisk, breezy Saturday night here in Ohio. So Brandon Beans, what's up? How you doing? Easiest way to time races if trying to start a small race thing going with some local crew. You know, we were using the puck for a little while. I got it right here. I use it for personal, like just to kind of keep track of lap times. Let me grab that real quick here. See here. Trying to make sure my live chat's coming in, but it doesn't look like it's coming in all the way. There we go. Should see it here any second. So we're on like a 5-second delay. Well, that's the only thing about the puck. It does really well at tracking one person, but tracking multiple people, if they fly in at the same time, it can only track one at a time, like really accurately. I wouldn't run a race on it. Right now, everybody's using the Emergent RC 8-way lap timer, and then one of our crew at the Gaps training ground, he's building a rotor hazard. I haven't had any like practice with it. I haven't messed with it myself, but I'm really interested in what it can do. And there's some other features like the biohazard feature where it puts lap times in your goggles for you through a backpack. So that's really cool. But right now, like for accurate racing, the only thing I'm aware of is the 8-way lap timer. But man, that thing's like 600. I think Tony finally put out a message that they got some in stock, but it's like 650 or I don't know. It's pretty expensive. I just need to do 4. I mean, you can do 4 on the puck. It does all right. I don't know if where you can get a hold of it now. For some reason, I have a double screen here. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Kind of got chat cut off at the bottom, but that's okay. There we go. So I can transition that way too. So just to give you an idea, it's a RF lap timer, the puck. So you can it'll power off of a battery, and then you can hook a USB, micro USB to your computer and run live timing system. This also has a Bluetooth to your phone, so you can run a phone app on it, and it'll keep track of your lap times. But like I said, it's not real accurate. I wouldn't like run it at a race, legitimate race. Make sure that's popping back up here. All right. 65 degrees down here. Oh, I'm so jealous. East Coast Thrills says it's 65 degrees in Florida. You know, my dad lives in Florida, and I've often thought about moving there. And then I went and visited, I think it was like middle of July, and I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. There's no way I could live down here. Plus the traffic. I don't know. I don't know where people get their driver's licenses. I assume out of a Cracker Jack box. It was bad. They always say Ohio's got the worst drivers, but I beg to differ. Junkie, how you doing? Good to see you in the live stream. I can get the puck for $89. That might just work well enough for Whoops. Yeah, it did for us. I mean, we run the puck at the shop all the time. Gaps Training Ground. If you guys check out my latest short, the track design last night from Gaps FPV Gaps, it was pretty fun. It was really technical but smooth, you know. It was a lot of fun. So, and my newest short from last night, check it out if you want to see the track design. But yeah, the puck always did fine for us there. Yeah, if you're not too serious, somebody's not going to get mad if their time doesn't get tracked. You know what I mean? That's the only thing. $850, dude. If you can find 800 or 400, I'm sorry, $450 used, I'd be half tempted. I know that like our club doesn't really have that kind of funds. Our local club, we have an 8-way though, but that was secured way back in the day by the previous president. Yeah, they're all out of stock on the pucks. You saying they're out of stock on the puck, or are you saying they're out of stock on the 8-way? There's no way they're out of stock on that already. You take your driver's license test on the Daytona track. uh, I know my dad, he's got a trailer hitch on the back of his van, but he don't own a trailer, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, both 8-way and I'm gonna have to jump online here. I gotta see that. I can't believe that thing's out of stock already. He just announced that it was in stock, and I don't know. I mean, at the price, I looked at it like, oh, I don't know if don't think I'll be swinging that. You guys know who owns Immersion RC, right? Let me see. Let me jump over here to. Let me, so this is Immersion RC's website. So this is Tony here in the middle, second to the left. He owns Immersion RC, and then the guy all the way to the left, that's the owner of Orca. So you're saying they're out of stock already? So I didn't know about the 4-way or whatever that is. It looks like a ground station patch. I haven't seen that before. Oh, they haven't updated this one either. Well, that's a bummer. Well, I might have to see. I could have swore I just seen a posting. They're supposed to come out with them on September last year. When I talked to him at IO, and he said it's September. So that was like, what, June to September of the previous year. So I had kind of hoped they'd have them out. Make sure I'm keeping up here with chat. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just me or if everybody having an issue with chat. The chat freezes, like it stops moving. Huh. Hey, I'm sorry about that, Brandon. I thought that they had stock on that. Well, I'll get with have to get with some people and find out what's going on with that. But I think I have one of them where my pigtail ripped off of it, so you can see there, which is kind of normal. I really don't like this type of connection anyway. I rather have it 90 degree to the battery. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna fix that, and then I'm gonna put this one in the motor tab and find out which. I got a bent motor. I can't remember. I think it was this one. It just vibrates really bad when I idle up. And then I got some prop changes to do. Hooked FPV, welcome to the live stream. How you doing? You know what? You're right. Makes you wonder if you could maybe make your own 8-way, and it'd probably do pretty well. I know there's I'm not really sure. I don't know. Maybe might get a hold of Sean or Chris at MultiGP and see if maybe they, I'm sure they've got a lot more new chapters opening up. I mean, every chapter needs to have some way to record. Yeah, doing pretty good, hooked. Just going to work on some quads, and I thought, you know what, while I'm down here working on this stuff, maybe somebody's struggling out there trying to figure something out, and I can give them a hand while I'm here, and then also hanging out with anybody that wants to join me. Might as well, right? I'm already down here working on stuff. So Brandon says he crashed and the O3 died from a turtle mode. That's a lot of amp draw. Turtling is, I mean, you can burn motors pretty easy. Move the VBAT. Why did turtle mode kill the regulator? That's a pretty good question. The only thing I could think is it just doesn't have enough ground. A lot of times when you have power surges and you don't have enough ground, it can burn the components. I always talked about the ground on these quadcopters for like video reasons, but there's more than just video. Especially with, like, just for an example, this is the 30 gauge wire, but I almost want to beg that it's 32. It's pretty small. So if you think about a component that just has that much ground going to it, I don't believe it's enough. I always put ground straps on all my stuff, especially bigger builds. Just redundant ground. That's the only thing I can imagine, Brandon, is that power spike was enough to not have a ground. Everything has to go to a ground. Path of least resistance, if that's through that voltage regulator and the filters that are on there, and you have I think there's 2 diodes, 3 resistors, and maybe 1 or 2 caps. If that power surge has to serpentine through there and doesn't get a good ground, it could fry it. At least you're able to get back to VBAT, and the O3 still works. Hook says he's got a Mobulus 7 shaking like it's like an alcoholic. So is it shaking when you're taking off, like when you're punching it, like has a little oscillation sound as you're punching it, or just cruising around it's shaking real bad? If it's shaking real bad while you're cruising around, your PID loop, your P&D bounce is probably not right. If you turn it down too low, it'll kind of wobble and get real loose, and if it's way too high, it'll just kind of jitter. Yeah, I always redundant ground my stuff. I mean, the ESC is fine because obviously your LiPo is going directly to the ESC, but like the flight controller, some of these little you know, some of these little cable, I don't have one, you know, it's something like this, you know, and that's the only ground. So sometimes I'll put an extra ground to the flight controller, and I always ground from the flight controller to the VTX or whatever. I mean, just too little of a ground. Did you guys see my video I did on the capacitors? I finally came out. I guess I'm ready for an argument. I don't know about the massive amount of capacitors being put on 5-inch and smaller quads is just crazy. So hook, you're having issues with it. Does it make that kind of sound where it's like it's an oscillation sound? Is it doing that? Or is it just shaky? I would say just start off by playing with your master slider in the PID tuning. Just go up a notch and fly it. Go up a notch and fly it. Just keep going up. If the problem gets worse, then go the other direction. Tuning is something I haven't done a video on tuning. I tune all my quads by ear. I use black box a little bit, but I mostly just fly it. And if it sounds good and the motors aren't getting hot and I get good battery life, I'll just keep messing with it until my battery life starts to suffer. Then, you know, I'll go the other way a little bit, and then I kind of find a sweet spot. It takes me a little while to tune, because obviously if you're good at tuning in with black box, you can get it tuned in pretty quick. But even then, I like my quads a little looser, because if you really tune a quad tight, it's like robotic. It's not as easy to move around. You like the color? Oh, let me grab a lipo real quick. I don't know if you've seen my. Let me grab that real quick. Let me. So I got this one. So this would be like old school. The 1206 LEDs. Just kind of old school 1206. Actually I prefer this because I made a little resistor pack to go in here, and then there's 4 little LEDs on each corner. So what's cool about this is I can just unadhere the 4 LEDs from each corner and bend them in a little bit, undo the motor wires, and then I could take the whole thing out and put it in another frame. See, doing this where you're gluing the LEDs all the way around the frame, it's not modular, but it'll light up a room. I mean, that is so bright. I mean, obviously with the lighting I have for my bench, it's overpowering this, but like I can walk through the house with this thing. It's bright. I don't have any sound. Oh, I'm sorry, hooked FB. I understand. So you don't hear any oscillating. You're just seeing the wobbles. I would try your master slider. I would move it up. I would say that it maybe needs a little more P and D gains. Be really careful about your motor temperature though. Like it ain't getting too hot. You can kind of put the edge of your finger against the motor bell. Yeah, the camera being loose. Normally that'll loose camera will make it blurry. Can you show us an example? Junkie says, can you show us an example of grounding your rigs? I have a video. Let me just make sure. Grounding the rig. So let me see. So like let me grab this real quick. I'll give you an example. So this is going to be a new 7-inch build. Well, it's not new. I've had these parts for, I've been collecting parts for probably a year and a half now on this. So I'm going to be excited about using that, dude. That's the EP1 dual. Has the so let's just, for an example, we got our ESC. And then our flight controller. You see that? So on the ground side of the ESC, I'll take a wire from this ground and I'll run it to the flight controller. So I'll run it to a ground on the any ground on the flight controller. And then I'll run either another wire from the ground here or from that ground pad that I use here or the one next to it or close to it. I'll run to the VTX. These plugs that are in the air units, you can get them with a redundant ground already built into them. I don't know if FPV shops have them. I don't have one in front of me. But basically, you're just running a ground from your LiPo ground to the ground pad on the flight controller, and then to a ground pad on the VTX. I have a video. If you go into my playlist for best video, let me see here. We're talking about a 5-inch, right? Because these all in one, like these all in one type boards, there's really not a whole lot you can do. So that was Junkie asking about Junie Log. Just catching up on chat here. Rodney Bell, how you doing? Welcome to the live stream. FPV Gaps, how you doing? Oh, you got a notice for once. I always yell at you because you never know I'm on here. Yeah, I said junk. I'm sorry. You should see what I'm looking at right now. It's like that big. I'm having to like stare at it. Uh, let me let me look at that a little bit more. Let me jump online here. I'll show you the video I was talking about. So that I've had a lot of feedbacks from a lot of people about the video. Let me jump over here. Make sure. It takes me a while to do transitions. I can't afford one of those stream decks right now, so it is what it is. So in my playlist, I have FPV video issues.
We make USA for homeowners who like being ready. That's why we have safety tips.
Yeah. Go to my playlist here. I'm going to roll on. Right here, best FPV video I ever had. That I go through the whole thing. I explain all of the grounding and everything in there. So that would be the one that I would look at. If you're just doing a simple redundant ground like what we're talking about here, just doing a simple ground strap from point A to point B, then this is the video that you want. FPV video issues fixed. So that's just a simple. I just had a lot of issues and just work for this one here. It took me a while, quite a few months, because I would come in and I would take one off, and now I would add another one, and I would measure it, and then I would fly it, and then I would take another one off. So it was quite a process. And then once I got it to where it was just right, I mean, the video was perfect. But you can also consider the fact that, just adding a ground, so like this one here, pretty important. Is that June lock? I'm terrible. Just don't call me junkie, that's all. James, how you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Rabble, how you doing? All right, Rodney, you have a good one. All right. I think that's probably the biggest thing is just going through. There's nothing worse than having issues like that where you have a bad ground, and then it's gonna burn out components or something. Right now I'm gonna fix my my broken ground. So last night got this all set up. So this has all the new, thanks to FPV gaps. We drop loaded this one. So this is current UDL spec. So this is the boost, which was really neat. And I tell you what, it's really the new spec is really slow. In my opinion, it's just really slow. And because I'm kind of overweight, I got 42 point. I think it's 42.2. So it's just over 42 grams all up, and that's pretty heavy. And because of that, I'm running like 60% throttle just to hover. So that only leaves me 40% of my throttle to fly. It's tough. You turn the boost on and it goes. So you definitely got to be ready for it. I mean, it's kind of neat. Kind of neat how it works and everything. The only problem is I ripped my connector off. Oh no, I'm running low. I'm gonna have to get another order in beta. So blue is hot, white is ground. So I just kind of measure these by eyeball of how far it has to unplug. So that's about good right there. Don't want to cut them too short because then you have to go in and redo it all, right? It's kind of a pain. I like to do these a certain way. Oh, it don't need that much. Do I need to zoom my camera in at all, or is that okay? EBR, how you doing? Haven't got my daily coffee yet. I'm really busy today. I always say that. EBR FPV always has a video every day. And it's just smooth, man. You've gotten so smooth over the time, man. Those power loops are just they can't get any better, I don't think. I love it when you punch through the canopy of the trees. East Coast, you out of here? Oh, you're talking to Rodney. Sorry. Any info on Quicksilver? I don't. I don't. I don't have any information on it. I done messed up. Junelok. Man, I'm terrible. I can't understand why that won't work in my brain. I said junkie. That's what it looked like at first. I didn't mean anything by that, by the way. I'm just really terrible at reading. So that's how I like to wire them. So you wire them back 90 degrees. Since I got that one on there, I'm just going to check and make sure. Pull this one out of the way. I don't want them too long. I can cut it and reshape it right now while I got it. But I need it to be at least, so that's good. So just enough to unplug it, you know what I mean? I could probably shorten it up just a little bit more, but that's probably pretty good. And then that'll stay pretty clean. It won't get into the motors. So we'll go with that length. The one thing to remember when you're doing that is you need to put something in here when you shrink tube it, or you could shellac it with a little bit of epoxy to keep them. They'll rotate into each other. All right, that's done. So I'll just separate them a little bit. It's kind of like that. As long as you can see between the two. And then what I do is I just take a little bit of heat or a little bit of hot glue. I just snip me off like a sliver. And then I put that in between the two right there. Just squish it in there, and then a little bit of heat shrink tubing to go over top of it. I really like this. This is my favorite. Get it on Amazon. This is the best heat shrink tubing I've ever used. And when it comes to, prop strikes and other things, like the thicker tubing is, I mean, it's pretty thick. I mean, you can imagine, it's got some meat to it. But the cool thing is it has an internal glue. So when you heat it up, it adheres to, it's not enough to rip the components off. So if you heat shrink your receiver or another component with, exposed chips, it won't rip them off. So it's good glue, but not too bad. Yeah, FPV Gab says looks good. I do a good job on it. And then this is I'm almost out. I use 3/8 on these connectors. So just enough to cover it up. Don't want to add a ton of weight. And then with the hot glue in the middle, this looks like it popped out. I'll just push that back in there. Making sure you can see what I'm doing here. So I just push that hot glue down in there, and then I pull so it's kind of like that. Okay. Maybe just a little bit less on I just want it on the end. I don't want the whole thing covered. All right, and then we'll shrink that on. I do have a hot air station, so I don't have to use this. And then once that's done, I just take the end of this and I squeeze it tight, pinch it off. Okay. My hands are quite calloused. It doesn't take much. It takes a lot to burn my fingers, I should say. Geo Ram, how you doing? The new HD0. Correct me if I'm right. Is it June lock? I am terrible. I am. It bugs me that I can't say that. I don't know if it's because of the capital and lowercase or what. You said, are you racing with the new HD0 all-in-one? I don't have one yet. They're $100. I've been fortunate. Like, I had a subscriber give me the parts for this one, and I had purchased I did a trade for the motors, and I had the flight controller a while ago, and it was broken. And I fixed it like a year later, and then I purchased the HD0. All three of these are the HD0 Whoop Light bundle. I don't have the box here. It's the Whoop Light bundle, so I don't have the all-in-one. Actually, I'd like to see how it works out. I will say one thing. I noticed that there's BB21 microprocessors for the MOSFETs. The microcontroller for the MOSFETs is a BB21, which is a big deal in my opinion, because a lot of the ones out there with the BB51 is kind of been a nemesis of mine. I've got a handful of Whoop boards over here with the BB21 in it. I don't know. But yeah, these are all just the Whoop Light, or the Whoop Light bundles. Rabble says he knows about Quicksilver. blazed your flight controller. That's a bummer. Off axis. I appreciate it. Thank you. Just gonna make sure I keep up on chat. Yeah, coast to coast. I appreciate you. How you doing? Thumbs up. You know, that's the thing. I always say it. You always see me whenever I go into a live stream. I'm like, smash that like button, because it does. It helps out, because YouTube sees the algorithm sees so many people hitting the thumbs up and so many people viewing. So then after I squeeze that shut and then the hot glue and everything, then I just trim off the corners and smooth it out. So now that's important to do that, because on the back of these, these pins will swivel. And if you solder on the side of it, they'll swivel together. You know what I'm saying? So you need to put something in between them so they don't swivel together while you're racing. But that should work out pretty good. It's ready to plug in. I'm just gonna check continuity real quick. I never ever work on a quad and then plug it in. I've learned way too many times not to do that. Let's go over here and grab ground. Make sure I got good ground continuity. And then this one's kind of tough with the HD0 on there. HD0 Whoop Light bundle covers everything up pretty tight. All right, should be good. I love them 1206 LEDs. So compact and so bright, you know. If you're curious to wonder, I have a video on how I made this harness. So it shows you the correct resistance. I go through all the math of how to figure out what resistor you need, and if you're going to daisy chain two of them, what resistor you need. So that video is already done. So if you're curious on how I made that, it's in there. So this one's back and ready to go. I'm going to check the motors on this just to make sure. Did I not change the top chat? I didn't put the all chat in, did I? Let me go back and make sure I did that. Thanks for telling me. There. Off axis, I appreciate it. I like to have that on the general chat. It's June Loco. Oh, I apologize. I'm terrible. I appreciate it. Thank you. June. Isn't that amazing? Am I red yet? Technique, how you doing? What's going down on a Saturday night? Yeah. Let me jump over here to Betaflight, and we'll get the motor tab running here. So we'll connect up to Betaflight and run the motors real quick to figure out if I got one that's not working out too well. Let's see if I got a... It doesn't look like I have a transition for that. I'll have to make one. So this quad, I think it's this quad here, whenever I would spin up the motors, it would just really vibrate bad. So let's go over here and check it out and see if I can figure out which one it is. That one's kind of not great sounding. See, that one's nice and smooth. So number one is definitely... Ooh, that one sounded really good. So number one is... Yeah, you hear that? It sounds terrible. So what I'm going to do is, number one is sounding pretty terrible. So I'm just going to lubricate it just to see if that fixes it. So I got my little lubrication device. All this is a kid's dosage syringe, and then I took the little red straw that you have on your aerosol spray can. I chopped it off and cut it at a little bit of an angle, and then I heat shrinked it onto this dosage syringe, and I filled it with air. I like air tool oil, so you like your impact air pneumatic tools. That oil is amazing. I mean, it penetrates well, and I mean, it's made for metal to metal contact, obviously. So then I just kind of draw a little bead on the end of that straw where my little cutout is. I don't want to put like a whole bunch in there. And then that should be enough. So we'll spin this bad boy back up. See if it sounds terrible still. That's the first thing. I don't see any damage to the prop. I don't see that the motor is bent right offhand, but so go back in here and spin it up. That's a lot better. Yeah. That's it. Just need a little lubrication on it. It's not vibrating in my hand anymore. So I'm happy with that. So that's number two quad done. I don't really see the point in, I mean, I could lubricate all four of them. I don't really see the point in doing it just because it does collect dust and stuff. But see, when you have a little bit of play, you know, the motor bell has a little play, that little E-clip that's down inside there. When you're flying and the propeller lifts that motor bell, that E-clip is pushing on what should be like a Teflon type of or a little plastic ring, then the brass. But if that ring gets torn up, then it's just the steel E-clip on the brass bushing. So if you lubricate that, then your motor will run quite a, I mean, you'll get a lot more packs out of it, that's for sure. But when that motor bell's kind of, there's an imperfection in the prop, so it just sits there and vibrates because it's sticking. So I think that's good to go. So we'll go ahead and send it again. And then motor wires fixed on this one. This one here is flashed with the newest UDL spec. Anybody in here running the new UDL spec with the boost in the OSD? Let me catch up on chat here. Looks like I got a conversation about Quicksilver. Never messed with it. Betaflight's all I've messed with. I mean, iNav, Betaflight, and then predecessors, but nothing. We did, I think a couple different things, but not. I think FPV Gaps tried Quicksilver. You still in here? Hey, did you guys know that I am going to have my first interview? I've turned down a lot of interviews over the years. I just never wanted to do face to camera stuff. And I finally got talked into doing it, and here I am. It still makes me nervous. My mouth is watering. I'm trying to. So I'm really not one to make an entertaining video, as you know. I kind of just, here's what it is, and the nitty gritty. I don't really have a whole lot of flair, and I never thought like a face to camera thing was important or benefited in any way. But it did reduce my opportunities to do like live stream interviews because I was unwilling to go on camera. But I'm gonna do it. My first time ever. Let me show you real quick to make sure that you're up to date. Like I said, my transitions are slow. I don't know what that Stream Deck is. I'll have to look it up. See, I don't know why it does that. Oh, I minimized it. That's why I did it. Here we go. I think I got it. bear with me. All right. So if you're not familiar with Nappy's channel, so this is Nappy FPV. He lives ways south of me, and we have it posted now. So this is the video that's going to come. So this is the live stream on December 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Nappy's going to interview me, and then we got a little something special, a little Hypnos FPV giveaway action. So don't miss out on that. So set your reminder, 8 p.m. December 19th. Nappy's going to ask me all kinds of questions, and it should be really fun. So you guys should already be tuning in for that one. And then Nappy's channel, subscribe to that. And then Hypnos FPV, check out his channel. Marvel Mystery Oil. Yeah. It's just a regular air tool oil. You can buy like just small little containers of it at a hardware store, wherever. That's what I like using. Jesse Perkins sells a little bottle of motor oil on his website. I think he still does. But I just use tool oil because it's made for metal to metal. All right, June, Have a good one, man. Sorry for screwing up your name so bad. I appreciate it, Ravel. Your encouragement means a lot. Shut off your drone. Did I unplug it? And then this one here, I just wanted to give it a real quick motor check. So what I'm looking for, I already have a video on my channel. If you need, I can show it to you. Like it's your flying sucks, but is it really you? That's kind of the title of it. Anybody need to see that again? This stuff's really good. Yeah, on my channel I have a video that shows how to detect the motor spinning. I just look for a little vibration, like right in the center of the motor hub. I'll look to see if that is a nice little circle, or is it just, oh, is that what you were talking about? Getting off your meter. Let me get some of this stuff out of your way. All right. So I'm just going to check this one real quick to make sure that the motors aren't, shafts aren't bent. Man, that is crazy. I mean, you guys, who has these 5-volt cob lights on your quads? Anybody? Yeah, I always leave my meter battery on. I'm glad it beeps. I'm glad it beeps at me to let me know that I've left it on, because I leave it on all the time. I tell you what, not to change the subject, but the soldering iron, I finally put a light bulb on my rig. I'll show you that here in just a second. Ooh, that thing is smooth. These are newer motors, though. These are the UDL brand motors. Yeah, there's no vibration at all in this thing. They're pretty new, though. That other quad, has been around for a while, a couple years, I think. Yeah, that'll work. I do have a bent prop on this one, though, I want to look at. Yeah, so I have my soldering iron on a switch. So I have one of those power strips mounted to my workbench, and it has a little switch on it. And then I got one of these, just simple light bulb. So I plug this into my power strip. So when I'm running my soldering iron, I turn, anytime my soldering iron is powered up, that light is on. So I don't walk away with that thing running, because sometimes that happens. So how many of you in chat are doing the UDL spec? So like this one here is spec. I still have on these two, I still have the previous CAC spec. The only thing that bothers me is if you upload the newest UDL spec, it's a firmware flash and you can't turn it on and off. See, right now with the previous spec, you could go in your OSD and turn the CAC limiter off and fly it like a regular 75. With that not being with that not happening, it's kind of a bummer. Oh, you know what I think? I think my chat froze up. Oh, it did. Yeah, my chat froze up here. Let me make sure I'm catching up. Rabble asks, where am I located? I'm in Ohio. Fun for Volt, welcome to the stream. How you doing? You got distracted and went and raked your front lawn. Oh man, Rabble, that's a bummer, dude. So you don't have any other people around to fly UDL with? So you got the cob lights and you're ready to build one up. Yeah, that is a great idea. I I walked away from that iron one time, and I mean it was, man, I destroyed the tip on it. I was fortunate enough not to burn anything down though. Make sure chat's keeping up with us in the window too. Looks like it's moving. Got a 75 of cobs. Got that one hooked on to build one. I tell you what, this is, I hate to say it. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I think I'm done with 65 millimeter racing. I just kind of got to the point where I didn't really feel like I was having fun anymore. So I had one of these and I was flying it and I was like, this is a lot of fun, you know? So it reminds me a lot of, this quad here. So this is my, I honestly, I don't know when I built this. Rubber band melted off of it. But this is one of my first whoops, and you know it's interesting to see where the technology's gone. You know, because the video in this thing, this is a security camera out of a teddy bear eyeball, and the camera, the field of view is very terrible. I mean, it's zoomed in. I don't know if you've ever flown with an old FPV camera that's zoomed in quite a bit, and it's very distorted in that way. To go from that to an HD0 Whoop Light bundle with the brushless motors, I mean, it just amazes me, you know, how far the hobby's come over the years. The only license plate I see in Florida right now are from Ohio. Yeah. I thought about it. I wish I had the gas money to go down and visit my dad. But man, that's 1,006 miles. And then you got to feed yourself out to eat a lot. And then you got to take them out to eat. And so, yeah, I didn't make it down. You know, he lives like 25, 30 minutes from Champs. So No Quarter Ranch. No Quarter Ranch is owned by Matt and Michelle Brooks. They do a lot of volunteer work for Multi GP, but they own No Quarter Ranch. It's really cool because Matt like bulldozed all the trees down, made like this big field. They have like concrete and like shelters for to keep out of the shade or keep out of the sun, I should say. I think he has power ran to it. I just want to go there and fly with him. But he only lives like 25 or 30 minutes. Prop popper. So this is the first prop popper. This is a gift from FPV Gaps. He bought me this. I had a spring in there, but I took it out because it wouldn't allow me to get like all the way down because the spring was in here. And then I took this out to my workbench here and filed that a little sharper, and then I bent those tips up just a little bit. So I bent it just a little bit, because if you don't bend it, it'll scoop your E-clip right off the top of your motor. It's very frustrating. Fun per Volt says he left his iron on days at a time. Days at a time. Yeah. No way, man. That's so scary. Because these things, that's it right there. That'll save your house from burning down. Because if that's plugged into my power strip, then I know it's on. I don't think you can see the light. Oh yeah, a little bit. So when I flip the switch on my power strip, it turns the light on. And obviously, if I'm working on something else, you know, like if I have my, I don't know if you've seen it on the channel, but this is my 5-volt rig. So I went to a thrift store for, I think it was like $2 or something for this. And this is a 5-volt 2-amp out, so it replicates your flight controller rail pretty well. And I just put some alligator clips on it. And so if I'm working with something like this where it's not that big a deal, I just unscrew the bulb a little bit. No big deal. But yeah, if you ever need to supply 5 volts to a component, you know, you can sit there and do your receivers. You can have them totally done, bound up, ready to go before you even put it in your quad. That reminds you of the red on-air light in Wayne's World. I remember watching Wayne's World. .65mm whoops are man, they're just so fast. I mean, I'm doing all right. At my local chapter, I got like 4th and 6th place with this. You know what? I haven't even measured. I don't think I measured this one. So this is the one that I'm using to actually race with. I don't know if you could see that on the screen there. Get my quad off of it. So battery, everything. So yeah, 40. So I'm over 42 grams. I'll be honest with you, there's really nothing I'm going to do to change that. That canopy's heavy, no doubt about it. That's the Newbie Drone Goober canopy. But I'll be honest with you, I don't care. I'll take the 2-gram hit because that canopy protects that camera so well. And I'm really good at crashing. And I'm talking like full send to the floor upside down kind of crashing. So it's heavy. Unfortunately, I land on my top a lot. But I don't really care because they don't make that camera no more. HD0, that HD0 light nano camera, can't get it no more. I'm definitely not going to jeopardize that. Yeah, this little dude right here. I still fly it if I want to. It still flies just fine. I have to cut the connector off of it. I don't have any more of those. You know, I remember back in the day just absolutely complaining to these manufacturers that were putting rolled pins in there. Anybody around long enough to remember that? There were pH 2.0 connector with rolled pins. They would get so hot, they would melt right out of the casing. You can't run them now. This quad here, you can't run that connector on. Anybody you see out there running a brushless rig with that connector, don't let them do it anymore. They're only rated for 2 amps. These quads pull down more amps than that. I should do an amp draw on this one. You know, I should do that. I should do a video on what the amp draw is of this one. Then I would know myself. Get you a pinch camera and a Nano 32. Yeah, I ran. I still actually have a couple. I haven't sold these two. I sold all my 65s. I'm just done with 65 analog. So I got this. This is an old Diamond. I don't know if you guys have a Diamond, or I mean, I've got a couple bad ones. This one here is like brand new, right here. I bet I got 3 flights out of that before it went to pot. And then this one here burn up probably a dozen. But this one has been really good. And they say like the diamond in the rough. I mean, literally, this one here is really, really good. Flies great. The VTX is pretty good. I do get stomped on a little bit at races when we're 4 up, especially if there's somebody flying HD0 on the next channel. But I haven't sold this one yet. I got a buddy of mine that's wanting it, so I might let it go to him. And then I still have this one, but I love the pinch camera. So that's the pinch camera. But the OVX 300 VTX. So I'm gonna probably sell him too. Probably just take it to my local club. I already sold 4 of them. I want to sell them. I was going to get an HD0 monitor, but then I had a bill come in. You raced Whoop since day one, brush days. You been so you used to race brushed Whoops as well. I tell you what, I'm so glad I'm not having to anymore. I mean, it's cool just to do it, to say you do it, you know. Like, hey, check out, you know, it'd be fun to go to a race with this and just do a lap or two. I can't even remember what the weight is. Let me look at the weight of this thing with the battery and without. I have no memory of how heavy it is. Imagine going to a race with this quad just for the fun of it. But the nice thing, what I'm saying is, I'm glad that I don't have to anymore, because those motors are expensive. After you have to buy, like, I mean, you'd get done with a whole race day and have to replace the motors. I mean, it was terrible. Yeah, 46.58 grams. If you can see that. 46.58. 46.59. And it's got like what, a third of the power of those. I hate to say it, but the new UDL spec is almost like flying this, dude. It's almost like it. It's just not powerful. But I know Isaac wanted to slow it down a little bit. The TS 100 with the Realm 2 turns itself off from, yeah. So the TS 100 has an auto off if it's not been, so it must have like an accelerometer in it or something to know that it's been on a certain amount of time, or is it hasn't been touched? How does it know to turn off? Hooked up, you use bi blades. I do use bi blades on these builds because these are UDL spec. That's the spec. So that's the Gem Fan 40 millimeter bi blade prop. 60-10, I think was what they are. I'll have to look for a bag. But yeah, that's because it's spec. Would I run a tri-blade? Yeah, I would probably run a tri-blade on them. Maybe an HQ tri-blade. I tried the HQ props on here and I couldn't get them on the motors. I have a drill bit. You know, this is a .9 millimeter drill bit. I drilled them out, and I mean, I took an old motor and I took the back of my X-Acto knife and was like trying to pound it down on there, and it wouldn't seat all the way down. I don't know why. I just got frustrated with it, but the HQ props are pretty nice. That's what I fly on the 65s. We have two different places we are racing at our local. Is Whooptopia Rules 6531 with other chapters allowed up to 75. So you guys run like 1S open class Ravel? Is it pretty much 1S open class? That's what we do at Buckeye FPV. It's just a 1S open class. We used to, a while ago, race 2-inch. I think it was 2S max. So whoops all the way up to 2-inch. I didn't race a lot with them, but I'll be honest with you, I was a little intimidated back when I first started to race. I'd go to a race and people would be so upset and the competition was fierce. I was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to hang out. I don't really want to participate. Yeah, the rolled pin versus solid. Them rolled pins, absolute junk. Can't tell you how many quads I lost because of them. Um, yeah, quite a few quads. They would you just be flying along, everything's fine, and all of a sudden, good, gone. No beeper. Have no way to honing in on it with your radio. So, totally lost. Off Axis says he loves them 65, 75. Yeah, I don't know. I have to admit the HD0 part of it has really got me. Just in case, just a little side tip. If you are running this Goober canopy, be mindful. I put little spacers in between the board and the canopy. So like right in between here, I put a little spacer all the way around. Can you see down in there? Can you see the camera? If you can get like a better angle on it. So anyway, the MIPI cable is right underneath the camera, and you can rotate it to where the MIPI cable might not be under the camera, but this is the orientation that I found kind of the easiest to have my USB cable stick out the side. So that camera, if it rotates down, it'll cut your MIPI cable. So if you put a little spacer between your canopy and there, so just check into it. You know, just if you are running this canopy, loosen the screws and swivel your camera to see if your MIPI cable gets pinched between the components on the flight control or on the HD0 board and the bottom of the camera. I had that happen to me, and I mean it's a MIPI cable. It destroys it. Yeah, bills always they're nonstop. They're coming in every day. Alien flight. Fun for Volt says he gets 6 hours from a brushed motor. Sounds about right. Yeah, going through them. I still have a pile of them. I ran the 0803 or the 8020s, and then they came out with the 7. I think it was the 720s. I think that's what's on there. The Beta FPV. I remember when they first came out, everybody loved them because the power to weight ratio is so much better than the 8020s. Never built a Whoop. Hobby Hobby Howie never built a hoop. Decided to build a champion with a 5. It won 30,000 kV. That's quite a motor you got there. He went to a 75 frame, 2-blade prop, getting about 6 minutes with a 550. Yeah, 30,000 kV on a 65. That'll eat your battery, especially with the 5-in-1s. Is it the 5-in-1 analog or is it the 5-in-1 HD0? I shouldn't point to my quad because that's not a 5-in-1. It's the old Super B board, the Happy Model Super B. I put a set of motors on before each race day, and they were like $20 a set. Yeah. You remember when they came out with the ones that were like, I think they were black with white lettering on them? Man, everybody went wild over them. And then right after that, they came out with the, it was kind of blue and gold, and I don't know, it was like multicolor. I never bought out any of them. I just bought the cheapest ones I could get a hold of because it seemed like they all last about the same. Worst goggle feature ever. Auto off if no movement. No doubt. I mean, isn't that dumb? I turned it off because I'm pretty good at it. I tell you what, I'll give you a little story. So I was spectating racing a while. I would go and spectate and look at gear, talk to people for a couple years. And I noticed like some of the people racing would be like just hammered, you know, they're just in the most awkward position. And it just looked so unfriendly to the human body and the way it's supposed to bend. So I like told myself, you know, no matter how excited you get, try to sit in a nice upright position, you know, and then train yourself to do it that way. And yeah, I could sit still enough the goggles would turn off during the flight, especially with this thing. You know, ripping around 14 minutes of flight with this dude, nice and quiet and calm, just on a nice day, you know, just just flowing along way out in the middle of nowhere, and the goggles shut off. Definitely don't want that happening. So it has an accelerometer. So Brandon says that it does have an accelerometer. See, that would be cool. Um, I just buy like the cheapest ones I can on Amazon, but I carry good tips. So I'll carry like a nice. I'll spend a little more money on the tips. Um, so I purchased the tips separate, and then I buy these barrels separate. So like once the end of them just corrode away after so many years or whatever, then I can replace the barrel. But these always work out pretty good for me. I'm not too particular. I don't really think the settings all that accurate. It's not too bad, but that's my iron, just a cheapie off Amazon. You know, I will say one thing. When it comes to tools, this multimeter is really something. I searched for quite a while for the channel to have a good multimeter that's just not something, because I don't know if you all know it or not, but I work with kids as well, and I do a lot of stuff or do what I can for like STEM and administrators at schools. You know, if they get a hold of me, I can help kind of guide them along, because like, if I find out a school's paying $1,200 for some wooden frames and some old brushed motors and some really cheap garbage goggles and some off weird brand controller, $1,200 for a kit, that means these kids are like 3 kids, 4 kids, maybe even more, are having to share a kit because they can't afford more kits. That ain't happening. So I'll get with the administrators at a school and change that, and and get them hooked up with the right people. But yeah, that multimeter, that you can't get any better for the money. I think it's on Amazon for like $20. I do have an Amazon store, in case you don't know. It's a storefront where I put everything. I don't get any money from them because I refuse to fill out their stupid paperwork. They email me every month like, we can't make your payment. I mean, it's nothing anyway. I mean, it's literally like a $20 purchase. You make like 2 cents. So I didn't fill it out, but that storefront's pretty cool because I could put everything in there. And then I put that one in there because there's a couple ripoffs of that one already, and they're not great. That one's been really good for me, so it's in there. So the TS, it goes into safe mode, okay? Make sure chat's still moving along. Yep. My iron will stay on as long. Okay. Local, it's 1S 31 millimeter prop 65 frame Wooptopia rules. Yeah, Wooptopia would be kind of fun. That'd be a heck of a. We did IO. So that was our family vacation. I don't know how I talked my wife into it. That was our only family vacation, was IO, because I wanted to volunteer, and so I'd work. I was race director for one of their tracks for all day for 2 straight days, and then I would come back and help out like a little bit during the weekend. But they got rid of freestyle, and I didn't see anything really going with X Class, and I didn't really see anything going with the 3D helicopter action. And so last year I didn't volunteer. I just went up, I just day tripped it and went up, drove up by myself, hung out, and then came back late at night. But yeah, Wooptopia, that would be fun to go and hang out there. What you know about Micro Motor Warehouse? Micro Motor Warehouse. I don't think I know anything about Motor Warehouse. Beta FPV 5-in-1 analog. Okay. Happy Model 75 V4 frame. That's what I got. So you're running the Happy Model V4. That's what this is. I designed a box. See those four little pedestals, and then the cage here. This one's not a good example for me to show you. Hobby. Let me grab this one. So I made my box so it has those 4 pedestals. So when you put it down in there, the pedestals push on the motors, so the battery tray exceeds the. You can see the battery tray exceeds the frame, right? So obviously so those pedestals will push your ducts flat, and then the exterior of the box and the curve in here will true your ducts back up. So after you get done racing, and then while it's in storage, and then I put a little real soft, piece of foam on the top that pushes down on the goober canopy. So then it doesn't rattle around in there, and the frame is being flexed perfectly flat while it's in storage. So pretty cool little box. I was thinking about sending the print out and having it printed and like maybe sell them or giveaways or something. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it yet. I like that frame. I've tried other frames. I've got like this Beta FPV Meteor 75 frame. It's a little bit heavier, but the braces break. Haven't had much luck with them. The only problem with the Mobula 7 V4. These ducks do break, but man, I tell you what, I really have to beat on them first. But eventually they do snap. I used to fold up while flying. Rabble used to fold up. That's the way my race director for Buckeye FPV is, man. He's just all contorted up. I don't even know how he holds his radio like that. He's fast. He can fly it that way. But man, I just look at his neck, like I see the vertebrae in his neck. Just, I don't know. I'd have a headache after that. Fun per volt. Fun. I apologize. Fun per volt. The filter won't let that comment go through. I have a making sure there's no foul language on my channel because my kids are watching. It's all cool though. I mean, it's I'm not offended or. Have you flown a fractal frame? That's a good question, Rabble. I've been seeing a lot more people showing up to the race with those, and we got a guy right now that flies it. I haven't flown it. I do have a pile of like 1S micro frames. Let me see here. I don't know this thing. I'm gonna save up some. I want to save up for a stream deck to make these live streams more entertaining, I guess. But I really want one of them HD0 monitors first. But let me see here. Let me grab it real quick here. So this is, so I don't, you guys remember the baby tooth? So a friend of mine got me interested in this. Really, really nice quad to fly. And I've been thinking about resurrecting it because it's just so fun to fly at like little parks, little 3-inch ripper. And with the new quad gas battery on there, I think it would just really do well. So I flew that, and then this is another frame I was thinking about wanting to try, but it was too small when I bought it. But this one's for like I think a 2-inch. But I like that it has the 4. See, this one only has 3 mounts, so it's great. This was the Mobula Goes Pick. The build that I did from it. This is the pick. So this is like a little. I thought about doing that with this one, but I really don't like that it only has 3 standoffs, because that 4th standoff causes vibration in the gyro. So I don't really understand what the point of it was. And you can't have your camera hanging off because that Mobula 6 canopy is really a bummer. It causes your FPV to be blurry. So I thought about trying one of those engineering frames. I've been saving up all my whoop ducks for my buddy, so I have plenty of them. Yeah, 4 years at the Whooptopia, huh? I know Custom. I think Custom will be there. So I'm trying to think like people that are in my that fly with me. I don't know if I think Colin or Proximo. I think he's going. I don't know if he's going. I'll have to ask. Our next race meetup, I'll have to ask who's all going. I'll be on the live stream. It'd be cool to go though, but yeah, the Northeast Whoop Championships. So that's what I think that's 8-hour drive. I think it's about 8-hour drive. I wanted to hook up with the We Bleed, one of their races. I started FPV, I had to lay down in the grass on my back. Yeah, isn't that something? Wearing a patch antenna, got all this gear, and you're staring right at the ground. That's funny. Get your get your monitor before the stream deck. Yeah. Yeah. I know the transitions are a little cumbersome, but yeah, the monitor would be pretty cool. It seems like everybody around me has one. If you set me up with a fractal, would you try it? Um, right now I just have the only three quads I have running are these three. Um, the only thing that kept me from wanting to do it is because I'm trying to get away from analog. Because as you know, like if I fly outdoors, I fly my super duper mega ultralight because this is under 250 grams all up 4S and it's DJI. I was very fortunate to have a subscriber give me their V2 goggles and a couple of Vistas with the Cadex Nano camera. So I don't really want to fly analog, and I don't have any HD0, so I don't know if I would try it. Let me think about that for a minute. UC is in Syracuse. Yeah, I'd have to look it up. I thought last time I looked when I talked to Jeff, I like to go out there and fly with them. Yeah, I might just take these off. I hate to say it, but where I whoop fly, I don't know if they have like uh, grizzly bears, wolves, maybe horses. I don't know. The hair that get into these motors is pretty bad. Carry a lighter in your bag and just torch them out. Because if they get wrapped around, they'll. Especially this thing. This thing is so underpowered now. Yeah, you're up there with Jeff. I remember when Jeff first started racing, there was what was it, like a mall? That was really cool. When Jeff was flying at that mall, the amount of exposure to the hobby, like all the people that could see that happening, that was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's so easy to hand somebody one of those monitors. Well, I'm gonna wrap up the live stream. I got my quads fixed and I got my props all figured out here, and it doesn't look like my motor is bent after all. It just needed a little lubrication. Um, but I'm gonna close my live stream because Fly Zone is starting up at 9 o'clock, and I want to clean all this up real quick and jump in on his live stream. So I appreciate everybody stopping by and checking it out off Axis. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much. Um, but yeah, I'll jump in on another live stream. Don't forget to hit the notification bell because you never know when I'm gonna do that. And then make sure you're reminded about Nappy FPV's live stream December 19th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got quite a few giveaways to do. You know, normally he does one giveaway. We're going to do multiple giveaways. So more information to come, and we're trying to get more people involved in that stuff too. Let me see the fractal frame. Is that what it is? Fractal engineering. So Rabble, are you still here? Email me. Maybe like a picture of it, like your build. Propsoffohio at gmail.com. So all one word, Propsoffohio, one word, at gmail.com. And then I might build one up and rip it and see what it's like. I've got plenty of ducks laying here for my buddy. He loves it. He's tried to talk me into it. So, but that way we can at least, I don't have to think about it on the live stream. So y'all have a great night. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much. And don't forget my FPV community share challenge. It's on my website, PropsOff.com. I don't sell anything. I just want people to know about the hobby. So RSVP is in there so that you can contact me through the RSVP to let me know you're interested in whether or not you're willing to share FPV with a total stranger. So let me know. Y'all have a great night and enjoy the breeze. I appreciate it, y'all.